Global News Update. I am Soibifa Jackridge. Pakistan temporarily suspended mobile phone services across the country on Thursday and closed some land borders to maintain law and order as voting began in a national election that has been preceded by a surge in militant violence. In the most recent such incidents, 26 people were killed in two explosions near electoral candidates' offices in the southwestern province of Balochistan on Wednesday. Islamic State later claimed responsibility. The election is also being held in the midst of a deep economic crisis and in a highly polarized political environment, and many analysts believe no clear winner may emerge. Thousands of troops have been deployed at polling stations across the country, and borders with Iran and Afghanistan were temporarily closed to facilitate a peaceful election. The move to suspend mobile networks sparked criticism from leaders of opposition parties, with the Pakistan People's Party, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, the 35-year-old son of former Premier Benazir Bhutto, calling for its immediate restoration. Chief Election Commissioner Sikandar Sultan Raja said the decision on mobile networks was made by law and orders agencies following Wednesday's violence, and the commission would not interfere in the matter. Despite tightened security, one person was killed when gunmen opened fire on the security forces vehicle in the northwestern area of Tank, a source in the intelligence services said. There was no immediate confirmation from security forces. Grenade attacks were also reported in different parts of Balochistan's Kech district, but polling remained unaffected since there were no casualties, Saeed Ahmed Omarani, commissioner of the Makrime division, said. The network suspension also followed Imran Khan's calls to his supporters who had clashed with security forces while protesting his arrest last year to wait outside polling booths until results are announced. Malaysia has recovered more than 23 million ringgit, that is $4.83 million, in assets related to scandal-hit state fund, One Malaysia Development Berhad, between January 2023 and February 2024, its anti-graft agency said on Thursday. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, said it recovered 1 MDB assets both domestically and internationally through cooperation with the 1 MDB Asset Recovery Task Force and foreign agencies, among other means. These funds and assets were successfully recovered through various means, including court orders, as well as voluntary surrender involving 5 individuals, and subsequently returned to the government of Malaysia, it said in a statement. Between 2019 to February 2024, a total of 29.3 billion ringgit in 1 MDB assets have been recovered, the agency added. Malaysian and US investigators estimate $4.5 billion were stolen from 1 MDB, implicating former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, Goldman Sachs, staff and high-level officials elsewhere. Najib was sentenced to 12 years prison after being convicted in a case linked to the 1 MDB scandal, but had his sentence halved last week by a Malaysian pardons board. Malaysia last month said it was considering initiating legal proceedings against foreign banks linked to the 1 MDB scandal. Johari Abdul Ghani, the chairman of the 1 MDB Asset Recovery Task Force, did not identify the foreign banks, but said they did not conduct proper due diligence before facilitating fund transfers related to the sovereign fund. More than 100 websites disguised as local news outlets in Europe, Asia, and Latin America are pushing pro-China content in a widespread influence campaign linked to a Belgian public relations firm. Digital watchdog Citizen Lab has found. Spread over websites in 30 countries, the propaganda material is interspersed with news aggregated from local news outlets and Chinese state media, according to a research report the Toronto-based group released on Wednesday. The site's contest swirl between conspiracy theories, often about the United States or its allies, such as a piece blaming American scientists for leaking COVID-19 to articles attacking Belgian critics. It is rare for researchers to link such operations to specific entities. Citizens Lab said the campaign began in mid-2020 and traced the network to public relations firm Shenzhen Haimeyongzhang Media Co. Limited. The company did not respond to requests for comments, and a phone number listed on an archived version of its website was not reachable. Citizen Lab said one of its websites in the campaign was Roma Journal, which looks every bit like a local Italian news outlet. Headlines discuss the Italian Prime Minister's political prospects, a hot balloon festival in the northern province, and a book launch. But a press release button at a corner of its homepage leads to a range of Chinese state media articles on topics such as China's contribution to global economic recovery and its push towards technological innovation. Much of the content on the site's Citizen Lab found was sourced from a press release services called Times Newswire, which analysts at cybersecurity firm Mandate last year found to be at the center of a separate Chinese influence operation that targeted US audiences. While online influence campaigns are increasingly common as powerful people and governments around the world seek to manipulate public opinion, experts tracking such operations says China is one of the biggest sources of such drives alongside Russia and Iran. Commander from Kataib Hezbollah, an Iran-backed armed group in Iraq that the Pentagon has blamed for attacking its troops, was killed in a U.S. strike on Wednesday, the U.S. military said. U.S. forces conducted a unilateral strike in Iraq in response to the attacks on the U.S. service members, killing a Kataib Hezbollah commander responsible for directly planning and participating in attacks on U.S. forces in the region. A statement from the military said it did not name the commander. It added that there were no indications of civilian casualties. Two security sources, speaking on condition of anonymity, said the commander was Abu Bakr al-Sadi, killed in a drone strike on a vehicle in eastern Baghdad. One of the sources said 3 people were killed and that the vehicle targeted was used by Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces, PMF, a state security agency composed of dozens of armed groups, many of them close to Iran. Kataib Hezbollah fighters and commanders are part of the PMF. 3 US troops were killed in January in a drone attack near the Jordan-Syria border that the Pentagon said bore the footprints of Kataib Hezbollah. The group then announced it was suspending military operations against US troops in the region. Iraq and Syria has witnessed near daily tit-for-tat attacks between hardline Iran-backed armed group and US forces stationed in the region since the Gaza war began in October. The US struck Iran-backed groups in Iraq and Syria last weekend in what it said was just the beginning of its response to the killing of the 3 US soldiers. In January, a US drone strike killed a senior military commander in central Baghdad, an attack Washington said came in response to drone and rocket attacks on its forces. On Wednesday, Iraqi special forces were on high alert in Baghdad and further units were deployed inside the Green Zone housing international diplomatic missions, including the US Embassy, a security source said. Santander Motor reported a sharp rise in operating profit for the December quarter and lifted its annual outlook, helped by robust sales in the United States, a more profitable product mix, and a weaker yen. The automaker raised its full-year operating profit forecast by 4.2% to 1.25 trillion yen, that is $8.4 billion versus an earlier estimate of 1.2 trillion yen and an average analyst forecast of 1.271 trillion yen, according to LSEG data. For the October to December third quarter, operating profit rose 35% to 379.8 billion yen, in line with the average estimate of 371.6 billion yen in a poll of 9 analysts by LSEG. Honda also announced a $336 million share buyback, saying it would purchase up to 0.7% of its own shares. Honda said last month its global sales grew 5.6% to nearly 4.0 million vehicles in 2023, lifted by 33% jump in sales in the United States and marking its first sales growth in its biggest market in 8 years as the shortage of high-tech chips abated. In contrast, it saw a 10% sales slump in China to 1.2 million vehicles amid intense competition from newer Chinese auto brands. Honda will have to optimize its manufacturing capacity in China and avoid ending up with excess production capacity after it brings online 2 new plants for building battery-powered vehicles, CFO AG Fujimura told a press briefing. Honda, a laggard in the shift to battery-powered electric vehicles, unveiled plans last month to launch a new EV series from 2026, showing off 2 concept EVs at the CES trade shows in Las Vegas. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Thursday.